Cub fans have been so enthralled with all the news about the Chicago Cubs potentially signing Zac Gallen that they're forgetting there's another pitcher out there that the Chicago Cubs could potentially be in on. We're going to cover it today. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I am your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, y'all, to this episode. Do me a favor. Go ahead, make sure you hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. Also, make sure if this is your first time and you haven't done it already, head on over to our Facebook channel, Chicago Cubs Central, our Facebook group, guys, that we got over there. You see the CCC. You guys already know what time it is. So make sure that you guys head over there to Chicago Cubs Central and go ahead and add yourself to this private group. It's a group with just of all of us Chicago Cub fans. Everybody that's on here, that's on the channel, is there. Also, like I said, we talk about the Chicago Cubs, just getting things started. So again, it's not too much chatter going on just yet, but it'll definitely liven up, especially when the season starts. Gonna have giveaways. You guys get first dibs on episodes when they drop. All different types of things like that. And hey, you get to talk to me too. I mean, if that's a prize for you. So like I said, make sure that you go ahead and join Chicago Cubs Central, the Facebook channel. Now, with that being said, y'all, Framber Valdez recently, as of late, pitched for the Houston Astros. His 2025 summary and pitch arsenal looks like this. So he played for the Houston Astros. He had a 13-11 record, an earned run average of 3.66. He pitched 192 innings. He had 187 strikeouts. He had a whip of 1.245. He had a league-adjusted ERA plus of 114, and he had a WAR, wins above replacement, 4. Valdez was a consistent innings eater and was one of the most reliable starters in baseball in 2025. What do the Chicago Cubs need? Somebody that they can rely on. The Chicago Cubs have had a plethora of injuries come to their starting pitching, and it's expected that this season will be none the different. So the problem here is, I know a lot of people have been talking about Zac Gallen and Zac Gallon and Zac Gallon. And listen, if the Chicago Cubs go out and spend the money to go get Zac Gallen, two things. I'll be excited because I know that'll officially put them over the salary cap. And then B, I feel like you can never have too much pitching. And I feel like this will lead us to believe that the Chicago Cubs are really taking this season serious. And they see an opportunity and a clear-cut chance to win. So with that being said, I look at this and I say to myself, Zac Gallen is a great choice. Don't get me wrong. Zac Gallen is a great choice. He's a great option. Somebody that can come in and be for the Chicago Cubs what they need him to be, an innings eater, somebody that can also come in and get a lot of strikeouts. Zac Gallen also still does need some work too, refining his pitches and things like that, because he did struggle. Honestly, both these pitchers struggled last year with the teams they were on. That's why I feel like Houston hasn't really made that huge of a push for Framber, as well as the Diamondbacks are kind of iffy in out on Zac Gallen. But here's the thing. Late season struggles for Framber tempered his overall performance. He went 2-7 with a 6.05 ERA in his final 10 starts of the season. So Framber got beat up towards the end of the year last year. And I mean, again, it wasn't just not being able to score runs. It was getting scored on too, giving up a bunch of runs. Framber definitely got he definitely got upset with how things were going in Houston, especially because when you saw him tip the pitch to his catcher and then give up the home run, and then, like I said, all these different things that happen with him. So you understand Framber does have a temper. Framber doesn't necessarily have the best reputation right now around the league either. So he gets somebody that might be able to come just a little bit cheaper than Zac Gallen. But the Chicago Cubs absolutely should take a look at this. Listen to this. This is what Valdez does. Valdez is a sinker-first lefty, known for inducing ground balls and weak contact. What the Chicago Cubs like to do, they like to use that infield. They especially that newly acquired Alex Bregman, a part of that infield. So Bregman and Swanson and Nico Horner and Michael Bush. So they want to use that infield. So he used that sinker 44% of the time at a 94.3 mile per hour, heavy late movement, and it induces a lot of ground balls. Then he also 33% of the time will use a curveball, and that's 79.9 miles per hour. It's a sharp two-plane break and his primary strikeout pitch. Then, of course, there's a changeup that he uses 18% of the time. It's effective against righties, gets them out. And then, of course, he has a slider that he promotes too. He uses that in spots, but not that often. And then, of course, it's wild and crazy, but he only uses his four-seam fastball 1.6% of the time. So his curveball generated 121 strikeouts on its own in 2025, one of the highest in MLB by pitch type. So again, you're looking at somebody like Framber Valdez and what he does and what he brings to the table. And you see here that this guy offers a lot. Now, let's talk about his counterpart. Let's talk about Zac Gallen. Zac Gallen played for the Arizona Diamondbacks, a 13-15 record last season, 4.83 ERA, 192 innings pitched, 175 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.26. So Gallen's 2025 season was more challenging than his early years. He was durable but less dominant with a higher ERA and a middling overall performance compared to his career norms. So again, it was just one of those things where maybe last year was one of those years that he struggled. I know he's still out holding out probably for a longer contract. However, it does look like a lot of teams are going to make him earn that contract first. So what pitch mix does Zac Gallen use? He uses his four-seam fastball 45% of the time. He hits mid-90s. It's his foundational pitch. It sets up everything else. Then he has a knuckle curve that he uses that's 23.5% of the time. That hits 81 miles per hour, has a big vertical drop on it, and it's his best pitch. The changeup is another pitch for him. It's 15.8% of the time. It's effective secondary off-speed pitch. He also has a slider that's a spot-breaking pitch, a cutter, and a sinker. So, again, he has a balanced four-seam fastball and curveball focus as his attack. His curveball is his signature north-south breaking pitch. And then his stuff just is quality and remained high last year, indicating the pitches themselves are still effective. The results just don't always match it. So a lot of times batters are able to time up these pitches and get the results that they want. So you look at these two, the key comparisons between these guys in 2025. So Framber Valdez, his ERA was 3.66, while Zac Gallen's was 4.83. The innings pitched, both of them pitched 192 innings. Strikeouts, Valdez had 12 more strikeouts on the season than Zac Gallen at 187, while Zac Gallen had 175. The whip, 1.245 versus a 1.26. So the primary strength of Gallen is pitch quality and tunneling. Meanwhile, Valdez is a ground ball and durability type of guy. And the best pitch for Valdez is the curveball, which induces strikeouts, and then the knuckle curve fastball combo for Gallen. So the Cubs would miss out on a veteran arm with frontline starter experience if Gallen does resign with the Arizona Diamondbacks. But Valdez is a logical target, offering innings, a strong track record, and a pitch profile that fits very well with defensive teams like the Chicago Cubs. So if Zac Gallen goes elsewhere, Valdez could still be a key free agent left on the market and a rotation anchor at a slightly lower cost or term given his age and his late season inconsistencies. However, Valdez does bring high ground ball rates and high strikeouts. So whereas Gallen brings a rich pitch mix and shape but was inconsistent in 2025, both of these pitchers are different types of starting pitchers. Valdez excels in contact management and longevity. Meanwhile, Gallen leans on shape and sequencing. So for me, I look at this and I say to myself, personally, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these pitchers. I think both of these pitchers would be excellent additions to the Chicago Cubs, gives them more flexibility. Again, you got to look at the Chicago Cubs team, y'all. I'm not expecting Matthew Boyd to have the same season he had last year. I'm not expecting Colin Ray to have the same season he had last year. We don't know what Justin Steele is going to be when he comes back. He may struggle when he first gets back. So again, you don't want to put pressure on guys to have to come in and to immediately, be able to give you innings, late innings of perfection. You want these guys to be able to ease their way into this season. So the more pitching, the better. If for my money, I'm looking at having Valdez over Gallon. I believe Gallon will come cheaper, but then again, according to some reports, Valdez will come cheaper because of the age. There is an age difference there. Gallon is still technically in his prime years. Meanwhile, Valdez, his best years are past him. Valdez also might transfer better over to the bullpen. Let's just say he struggles, but he could be a good bullpen piece, but good bullpen hand to get strikeouts too. So you got to look at that. You got to look at how they fit on the team primarily. But Valdez is definitely somebody that the Chicago Cubs should absolutely be looking at as well, not just stuck on Zac Gallen. But I want to know from you guys, based off what I just told you, which pitcher do you think the Chicago Cubs should absolutely go after? There's already rumors and reports out there. The Chicago Cubs are still in on Zac Gallen, still talking with him, still trying to get him to sign for the Cubs. There are also other teams out there like the Yankees. There are also other teams out there like the Padres that have been rumored to be interested in Gallen also. I'm sorry, in Valdez also. In Gallen also. But then there's also Valdez out there too. And I think for my money, Valdez, I think, will have the better season. He's a little bit more proven. I think I would like the Chicago Cubs to go after him, target him. You also might be able to get him for a cheaper price too, especially since he's on the market. Y'all, listen, we are less than a month away from spring training opening. So the end of these contracts, the last pieces that are out there, the big name bats that are still out there, and the big name pitchers that are still out there, these guys are going to end up signing here real soon. So you want to make sure that you guys are getting excited about the spring training, as pitchers and catchers will report in 2 weeks. And then after that, spring training will begin. The Chicago Cubs open up spring training February 20th against the White Sox at spring training. So again, like I said, you want to make sure that you guys are excited about this. I know I'm excited about it, excited to see what the Chicago Cubs team could bring. Chicago Cubs also did another thing. They signed Dylan Carlson, former St. Louis Cardinal, to a minor league deal with the invite to the majors and to spring training. So we'll see what happens with that. He could be actually a really good bench piece. Can play all around on the outfield for the Chicago Cubs. So we'll see what happens with that. Keep your eyes on that. Chicago Cubs are already known for making those sneaky good moves like that. But we'll just have to see what happens, man. But listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.